What's going on, guys? Welcome to Collecting Keys. I'm Mike DeHaan here with Dan Austin and Dylan Cook, and we're bitching about taxes today because by the time this comes out, it's going to be the 15th.
Yeah.
Right, it'll be close.
Right? It'll be like the 14th.
It'll be the day before, so it'll almost be tax day, which is a super fun day if you're a business owner and you get that email from your accountant that for some reason you check the first thing you wake up at 5:30 a.m. and you go, what the fuck? So that was my experience last week.
Yeah, I got the text early in the morning.
Yeah, dude, I know. I'm like, I'm just not checking email early anymore because I just put my day in a stupor. Tell you what, goddamn.
It's so...
Everyone always says, like, that's a great problem to have when you get, like, a big tax bill. No, it's not. Like, the problem is like, if you're not fully anticipating it, it still hurts. It's still like a big check you're having to write if you've done well for yourself. But
I've never paid quarterlies either, so it's always like the final bill at the end.
The end of the year, yeah.
I'm never not going to pay quarterlies again because it hurts. Yeah. Like, it's dumb, and it's so easy to accidentally get over your skis.
It is.
And the challenge with it is, like, yes, if you pay quarterlies, you might overpay, right? You have, like, opportunity cost, that money, whatever. But if you look, like, big picture, realistically trying to kind of like game that system, if you're trying to avoid quarterlies, I would bet for people that have a growing business, it is poor opportunity cost to be doing that versus just making more money and just paying them and just not worrying about it. Like, honestly.
I mean, there was a time 2 years ago, I think it was my 2024 taxes, where I was doing like this big flip, but I was self-funding the rehab part of the flip. But it was the same time like the taxes were due. I didn't have that money, man. Like I needed that to come back. And I'm just like, oh shit.
That's the scary part about it.
Yeah. I mean, I had to sell a handful of my Bitcoin that I've been buying. I had to sell out a bunch of stuff. I had to move a bunch of money around. But the point is, like, I still had the ability to get it. It's just that I wasn't expecting, you know, the final tax situation, and that's shitty. So the conversation, you know, Dan and I have been having is like, all of a sudden we're going to turn on what we've been talking against for the last few years. And like, well, maybe this Airbnb thing makes sense because you can use that as like a slightly different tax advantage versus long-term real estate. But how do you do it in a way where I'm not just buying like crappy properties that probably aren't that good of Airbnbs, are going to just have a train run through them of like families that are going to be destroying them, or buying these Airbnbs that are so just like out to lunch in terms of the expectation that they're losing money on their own. I think there's a fine balance that probably exists there.
Yeah. Like if there's like a useful, a personal use element, I've always said this about Airbnb. One, it's got to be in a badass location for it to be clear, for it to be worth it and not be like a whole nother separate lame business that you have to run, which even one Airbnb is a lame business. And if it's not a cool spot, it's even harder to rent. You got to do all sorts of weird stuff and buy hot tubs and shit. But back to my point, if you have an Airbnb in a cool spot, it probably still makes sense. Mm-hmm. But then if you have a reason, like you like have a personal use reason to have it as well in that location, then that I think helps offset, not just like, had nothing to do with like the revenue, but it helps offset any downside to it. Cause you're like, well, I'm using it.
Yeah.
So like you're getting other value out of it, you know? So
it helps justify it. That's for sure. I mean, hell, the Airbnb that I was in Phoenix like 3 weeks ago, it was exactly what you described, Dan, where this place is probably 1,000 square foot big, but on the outside, it had a sauna. It had an ice bath. It had like this little workout place and it had like this small pickleball court. Like it was dope, but I looked it up and they paid $500,000 for 1,000 square foot place that set like 6 people, but it had all the outside stuff, right? Like,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure that place made money.
Remember that place, the first KeysCon? That place was pretty, I mean, the house inside was older, but that place was dope. It had like an elevator in it and stuff.
Yeah, that was nice. I mean, the only thing that sucked is because it was in the city of Scottsdale and they had that whole thing with the alarm. So, because the pool didn't have a fence.
Oh yeah, the door alarm for the pool. That pool was sick though. Like when you think about it, that pool is sweet.
The pool was sick. But every time anybody came in from like the casita or whatever, that was outside the little guest house, that alarm was like piercing. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
Well, that's the other thing with, if you're looking at Airbnbs, it's like the jurisdiction is like constantly changing on what they allow versus what they don't allow.
Yeah.
And like, do you have to do 30-day stays now instead, or 45-day stays versus like less than 7, and everything's different.
Well, that's why you got to go place where it's actually meant for it, you know?
Right.
If you look at somewhere that I've been where I really noticed that is like Pensacola, like what's the beach down there called? Destin.
Panama City?
Yeah, like Destin area, like down in like that panhandle of Florida part. Like we've been down there a handful of times. We went down there for a real estate event and then went down there with some friends a few years ago. And basically that entire like strip of beach is just all these like huge weird properties that are like 8 stories tall, even though like the actual footprint on the ground is like 50 foot by 50 foot. Right. And they just have like all these bedrooms in there and they're all walking distance from the beach. And the whole premise is those are obviously vacation rentals. Right.
We stayed in one that had like 2 kitchens on the floors. That was dope.
Yeah. They're cool. Like, I mean, places like that's kind of honestly where you probably want to go, because then you're not going to face those kind of issues. Like they're not going to suddenly crack down on Airbnbs in that sort of market.
No, because that's so much of their local revenue, right? Like they're not going to do
totally. And also no one's going to live in that house full time. If you do, you're a freaking weirdo.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Like, man, my master's on the 7th floor of this freaking tower by the beach. No one wants that.
All the houses on stilts and stuff. They're so
all of them are.
Like,
all of them are on stilts.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I will say about like, this is total side topic, but like beaches on the West Coast, although they're not like nice white sandy, they're way better because they're not houses on stilts with hurricanes.
No shit.
We have some advantages over here.
Yeah, you got to pick your poison. Instead, you go to the beaches in San Diego and they're full of like kelp. The water's cold.
Kelp. Homeless people.
There's the kind of rocky, right? Like the sand is like kind of coarse and brutal. But hey, at least you don't have hurricanes.
Your house is right there.
At least you don't have hurricanes yet. Give it time. Climate change is still gone. But I asked Anthropic over here about the Airbnb benefits for taxes. And so there's depreciation, obviously, 14-day, 10% rule. If you rent your home 14 days or fewer per year, rental income is tax free. That's the Augusta rule. Is that the same thing? Is that different?
Yeah, I think so. No, the 14 days is the same thing in the Augusta rule. So
it's funny. It lists both of those. The QBI deduction, if your Airbnb qualifies as a business, not passive investment, you may deduct up to 20% of qualified business income under the pass-through deduction. Offsetting passive income, rental losses when expenses exceed income can offset other passive income. If you're a real estate professional, losses can offset ordinary income. So that's the same as long-term stuff. And then the STR loophole with active participation. If you have short-term rentals with an average stay of 7 days or fewer, they may be classified as an active business rather than a passive rental, allowing losses to offset W-2 or other active income, especially valuable for high earners. See, Dan, we got to change our mindset and just buy these Airbnbs that just fucking hemorrhage money. We'll be good. What's funny is like, what this is saying, if you really think about it. So it says you can use the losses to offset your active income. And I was like, okay. So if I lose money, I pay less taxes. I guess that exists with every business.
Yeah, well, you want the paper losses. You don't want the actual losses, right? Like,
I know.
You want that thing to break even.
Yeah.
Because here's the other thing. People want Airbnb, but then your national inclination is like, oh, I want this thing to make a shit ton of money. Well, guess what? Then all your paper losses go towards writing off that income, and you're in the same exact spot, except for you own a freaking house. You got to worry about the roof blowing off or some shit, That's the downside.
Dude, that's the other thing that turns me off is there's always just this implied extra expense that is going to eventually come.
Yeah.
Regardless of where you are.
let's say you get $100,000 of depreciation. You basically the perfect scenario is like it loses, quote unquote, $20,000 a year for like 5 years. And you basically broke even for 5 years, but you're at least kicking the can. And today's dollars are worth more than future dollars, but
this is true. There's got to be we got to get AI to get this to us. I'm not smart enough to figure this. Like, what is the actual crossover with accounting some risk adjustment and accounting for the mental bandwidth that it might take from you? You got to have some sort of accounting for that and see, is it worth it?
I got it figured out. Here's what we'll do. We move to Puerto Rico. We just don't pay taxes, period.
I'm going to stay in Jake Paul's casita.
So we just do that. That solves the first problem. And then what we do is we just can buy short-term rentals and then just basically bank losses forever. And then when the hurricanes get too bad in Puerto Rico, we just move back.
And then you have a big insurance claim.
It's assuming they're still part of the country. They might be annexed by the administration by that point.
We do need an office, so maybe we could use that as a depreciating thing.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, we found out that essentially to do anything to grow our business now, Dylan, we have to have a brick and mortar office.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. Just buy a sweet ass office in Spokane.
No, Puerto Rico, dude, so we can base there.
I would love to hire some Puerto Ricans.
Hey, I like having my office.
We would love to hire some Puerto Ricans.
Yeah, you could get all sorts of baseball players, stuff like that, or just cool people to hang out with.
Is that where your brain goes? I can't wait to get around with some Puerto Rican baseball players.
Dude, those dudes are juiced up, man. You can have them as bodyguards for our office.
Sure, we all know what you really mean.
They're down to party.
Yep, totally. Why not? We know where your brain's headed. Get out of here.
Whatever, dude. You don't know me. You don't know me.
I know you too well. So I've seen the way that you act when we go to Vegas. I've never seen you have so much fun with a weird Russian dude with a blazer that was unbuttoned with no shirt and his wife, like hooker.
God, that freaked me, dude. That scared me. So I was so scared.
She was drinking a bottle of wine, like out of the bottle.
Like at a table?
At the roulette table.
Yeah, dude.
That's respect.
Well, yeah. And she was American, and then he was definitely Eastern European. And he literally had on like his huge blazer that was unbuttoned. He had nothing underneath it.
Tattoo,
right?
big old chest piece tattoo.
Yeah, big chest tattoo.
For sure, mob type guy.
Or just like shit-hammered Russian dude. I don't know, man.
Dude, it was uncomfortable because he definitely looked like a dude that would kill you. And his girlfriend or hooker or whatever was trying to talk to me. And I thought he was like pointing, he was like, mine. And I was like, what is he talking about? And I was like, I'm just trying to put all my money on black. And then he like tracked us down after I lost all my money and was like talking shit to me, dude. He was like, you suck at gambling. And I was like, fuck, yeah, I do. Like, it was scary.
And his lady friend still had the bottle of wine. She was literally just taking swigs out of this thing. I was like, what is happening?
They were
awesome.
wasted. That's like quintessential Vegas right there, dude.
That's like old Vegas. Like I remember when there used to be a lot more of that. You don't see a lot of that anymore.
I used to see like people with kids and shit there. We don't want that.
No way.
I want to smoke cigarettes and get drunk.
How was the occupancy, I guess, at Vegas? Like, was there a lot of people there? I know you're there for a conference, but like, that's kind of a vibe.
So I will say, yes, it was like shoulder to shoulder in the casino at some points in time. But it was spring break and there was it the NIL tournament there?
No one gives a fuck about the NIL.
Yeah, no, it was the college basketball crown, which is even lower than the NIL.
Oh.
So it's like all these, so the college basketball crown they had there, which was like the big name schools that either chose not to go to the NIL because they're too good for that. Because like, so at our hotel was Baylor in Minnesota and they were like playing there. I think Auburn ended up winning that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But so like, it was a lot of like the big name schools that, I don't know, were there for some reason, but there was definitely people there for that.
Yeah. So it was busy. I've heard lots of rumors about Vegas being like dead, but for that week, I would not say it was dead. Like, so they probably do have some dead weeks, in between and stuff like that, but it was busy.
We've been to Vegas quite a few times over the past year and it's never seemed dead.
Yeah. I guess that's a good point. Like you're walking on the strip and you're like, it's hundreds of people.
Busy.
Like it's busy.
Yeah.
I love how the lending conferences are in Vegas.
Well, I mean, it's the perfect place to have a conference because you can fly direct from anywhere. It's very easy to just put everyone in the same hotel. There's nothing but conference space. The food is decent.
Yeah, you could probably have 20 conferences per hotel easy. Like there's so much space.
In our hotel, we were getting confused trying to figure out which conference area was our thing because there was a different one in every single area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a good conference place, but also I think it's probably because like there's a lot of finance guys and cocaine is cheap.
Dude, like they're not that cool.
No, they're not that cool.
Like you and me were going around, we're like, are we the only ones gambling? Like, oh wait, we saw that guy at the conference. Look. And there's also the guys that you meet that at like the meet and greets and you're like, oh, how was your thing today? And they're obviously a little bit, overcooked.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, I lost so much money last night. I had to get a cash advance on my credit card. One guy literally told us this.
Yeah, it happens.
Wow. I love that.
It's also nice because you can have like fun in the casino or like the building after the conference. And so it's a good spot. A lot of them are in Miami too.
Hey, sometimes those are the relationships you get are like, not in the conference or the things after the conference.
Right. They're all outside. Yeah. I don't think Mike and I spent more than 10 minutes total in the like presentations.
Like a presentation.
Yeah. Like off and on, it'd be like 2 minutes in between a networking meeting. You sit down for 5 minutes to take a break just because that's the only place to sit. And then you'd go back outside, go network more. And yeah, I don't know that I heard too much.
I will say like I've been to conferences, all kinds of different places. Vegas is probably my preferred spot just because it has like options.
Great dining options.
There's lots of good food. There's always a good gym if you stay in like a decent hotel. So like outside of that, I can actually be active. It's very easy to get there, right? It's not overly expensive. Like sometimes I hate when you have these things. I'm like, oh, I'm going to fucking Park City and spending $900 in the worst hotel room I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the food options are like, if you can get in anywhere are fine. But
what I'm hearing is Mike stayed at Trump Tower in Vegas.
Mike did. Yeah, that's where I booked his hotel.
I would never. I'm debating not paying my taxes. I don't want to support him anymore.
Dude, here's the thing.
I'm with you. I'm not necessarily the Trump thing, but like I will not pay my taxes and we'll see what happens.
I'm going to pay mine. You guys don't pay yours.
See, think about it. So they say that you realistically, you have 3 to 4 years before the IRS like audits you. Who knows what 3 to 4 years is going to look like? He's going to be up again for his third term. A lot of shit could happen between now and then. So
yeah,
will the IRS even come hunting? We'll see.
Maybe. You know what? The best thing you could do is that I think, did they lay off a bunch of IRS agents? Were they talking about it as part of the Elon Musk thing?
I think that they talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So we're all good for a while, dude. Like they're not going to hire them back. We just got to get through 6 more years.
If they see, some of our tax bills, they're like, they're good. They, it's the people who have claimed the big incomes that don't pay shit that they're probably like, what's going on here?
But if you claim a really big income, you don't pay shit, then you kind of get a pass. You're like, you're good.
I also think that probably like the IRS, because they're the government, probably does dumb shit like focusing on the billionaires, which you would think there's a lot of money there, but those guys also have better attorneys and tax lawyers that are smarter than IRS agents.
Or they focus on the people who make like 20 grand and you're like, why are you wasting your time if they owe an extra $50? Like
they need to go after doctors who are trying to buy Airbnbs to offset their income. Cause those dudes they're too cheap. So they're paying really bad tax attorneys and they're going to get the ass bit.
They're also chicken shit, dude. So as soon as they face any resistance, they fold.
Yeah. They're the best ones to go after.
Yeah. Or it's the doctors who like have their wife retire and then their wife becomes a real estate agent so they can get all this. And they've like, there's been case law that says like, hey, running comps does not count.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's significant case law.
Like you actually have to do something inside of this. Like,
that's my issue with so many of the tax things. Really quick before we move on that is, so like we talked about the Augusta law. I know you sent that in the Slack as well, Dylan. There's so many of these little things. Pretty much every time I see any sort of like tax thing that has a fucking infographic, I know it's not the full truth.
Yeah.
Right. And it is some guru or whatever that's trying to like pitch you their thing about why what they're doing is super beneficial to you. And the tax thing, people get all excited about that. Cause like there's so many like little nuanced details, like to your point, being involved is not just like running comps and doing the bookkeeping. Right. But they're like, oh, I'm a real estate professional because I'm like, no, you're not. Like, that's not how it works. Like, you might feel like that. And sure, you might even have a shitty accountant that goes, cool, and gives you rep status. But the second you get audited, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah. And you need a paper trail, like a calendar of your appointments or like, your CRM connected that. But if you don't have anything and you just claim it, you're like you said, you are cooked. That's a good.
Totally. And there's like people that like run all these expenses through your business and they just do these different things. I'm like, you're going to feel great doing that until you eventually get caught. It's kind of like if you're like speeding in your car and you get pulled over, you're like, well, that was fucking dumb. I didn't need to be going 60 and a 40, but I was.
Right.
And then like you just sort of, you get bit at that point. It's the same sort of thing. When you eventually get caught, you'll be facing it.
I was talking with my CPA this morning because I had paid like my estimated bill. And so like, luckily we were pretty close on what we think it's going to be, but I'm going to pay a little bit more. But we were talking about other ways, like at the last minute, like even though we're already into 2026 that you can do. And he talked about like contributing to a Roth IRA and their traditional IRA and converting it. He said to me, which was weird, he's like, you're different than a lot of real estate investors because a lot of real estate investors I know don't have any like traditional retirement accounts. No 401ks, no IRAs, no HSAs, any of that. And I thought that was interesting because it was like, I have a lot of that. And so does my wife. So
why?
Diversification, I guess, is my first instinct answer. And then to be fair, I like the Roth model because the Roth grows and tax free. And then when you take distributions later, there are no RMDs. So you don't have to take the minimum distributions when you turn that age and tax.
So there's no RMDs on Roth?
Correct.
Okay. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I pulled a lot of my money out of my old retirement accounts. I've talked about this a lot. And I wish that I could I made an investment in a syndication on a checkbook IRA. And I wish that I had just fucking cashed that out and done it. Because I don't fundamentally believe in IRAs explicitly because of the time restraint. Right. And this is for me just kind of being, I would say, bearish on life and like the future. The fact that I am giving essentially an interest-free loan, I guess, for these people to do whatever the hell they want with my money. They can invest it, whatever they really do with it. I don't fucking know. But, they'll say they'll put it in stocks, do whatever. To believe that that institution will still exist, that I will still be alive, that the general foundation that has built that will still be around when I'm like 60, 25 years from now. I don't believe that. Like, I don't want to like give faith to that. And so it's hard for me to justify doing that purely for quote unquote tax benefits.
I'll play devil's advocate here. I tend to agree with you, but just from a devil's advocate standpoint, to not believe in the institution means you probably shouldn't invest in anything.
Yeah.
Because if you don't think it'll be here when you're 60, you should just YOLO that shit and spend all your money because like you're never going to pay taxes again because it'll be gone.
I agree. Okay. Yes. This is why I'm really big on like the active income versus just the investing.
I guess my argument on top of that too is like owning real estate. I would put that in that category because it's so heavily influenced by the institution.
Yeah.
Because like they could basically say, you know what, we can't afford to have Fannie and Freddie anymore. Sorry, people in America, you're not going to get government-backed loans, which would totally change the dynamics of the real estate industry, right? Mm-hmm. And so like stuff like that could happen, or they could fuck with the interest rates like they always do, or they could, bomb the Strait of Hormuz, or I should say Iran. I was going to make a different joke, but bomb Iran and change things, right? And so the real estate investment strategy is very heavily influenced by the government. The 401k Roth is heavily influenced by it. The general stock market's heavily influenced by it. So where else do you put your money?
That's the great question, right? And like I think investing it in your own business. So it's like if you can make $1 million a year and you only spend $250,000 a year, sweet. You have extra money, you can reinvest that. You can just hold cash and put it in crypto, whatever.
But what do you say reinvest it? Reinvest it only in your business?
Like reinvest it only in your business.
Okay.
Totally. And like I think that the passive growth is important. But to your point, I don't have like a long-term time horizon on anything. This is why I've been preaching forever around like it probably doesn't make sense to intend to hold real estate for 30 years because so many things can happen. You will have expenses that will eventually eat at that property value, or like that will take away your cash on cash return that you have on that, right? And you can't actually predict the future. Like it's just not possible what will it look like. The one thing that I do like about real estate and why I will still advocate it for people to do it correctly is that you can very literally buy it with a return on day one.
Yeah.
You can buy it at 50% value. You cannot do that with like a stock security. You cannot, do that with any kind of like quote unquote traditional investment because you have to buy it at whatever the face value is right now. The benefit is that it's very easy to liquidate, whereas a house is not, but you have the upside or downside is outside of your control. Whereas with real estate, you actually do have a lot more control of that. As we know, like with our wholesale business, we ran forever. So like even if you bought a house for 50 cents on the dollar, you're unable to sell it at which the market value was, but you're able to sell it for 25% below that. You're still up 25% because you bought it at 50 cents on the dollar.
One is like, in comparison to total net worth, the contribution to that is a very small amount.
Sure.
So like, and it will grow over time. And I'm not a big fan of the traditional accounts that just grow tax deferred because then you're just getting, if it's big enough, you're going to be in the highest tax rate at the end of your life anyway. And chances are those tax rates are going to be higher.
It actually forces you into it.
It forces you into it. Yeah. Because if you take RMDs, you can't do anything with it. Even if you gift some of that away, it doesn't matter. So I do like the Roth aspect in that regard. My second question was like, do you plan to, you don't have to answer if you don't want to, have any kind of those accounts for your kid?
No.
Mike doesn't like his kid that much?
Well,
just kidding. I don't trust my kids will be that good.
My CPA asked if I wanted a Trump account, and I said no, I don't want the Trump account because I have other methods outside of that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't do the Trump account in general because I disagree with the principle of that, not because it's called Trump, even though he's a fucking asshole. It's the fact that what they are doing is they are finding a reason to take tax dollars and put them into the private market.
So you're saying that you wanted, what is it, $1,000?
It was $250 for what I saw. Well, $250 is what they gave you. I think you could do up to, you could contribute up to $1,000.
Okay. I don't have a point there.
No, but because like what they're trying to do is say they're going to take tax dollars, they're going to put it into these accounts and they're going to invest it because then they can take all that money, they can put it towards the investments that they deem to be the best, that the Trump account people, like the federal government decides is the best, which is super crooked in my mind because you're now taking tax dollars that have been collected and putting it towards the private endeavor of their choice.
Is that true?
Yes, that's how it fundamentally works.
I know, but who picks the stocks?
I don't know. They haven't come around yet. They don't start till July.
Or is it the S&P 500? Because my understanding was it was the S&P 500, which would, in my opinion, be a good investment because it's like, that's just invest in American companies. The best 500 companies.
It might be. But at the same time, I still do not think that tax dollars should go towards publicly traded companies.
Do you think it should go to something else?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like
helping, like
federal services?
I know. Which ones?
Infrastructure? Any of them.
Yeah.
Anything that's not these same fucking people that already are pulling all the strings.
I disagree somewhat on that. I agree more on the lines that we should just not give it to anybody.
The
and like that should just go back in my pocket. I don't want it to go somewhere else.
Oh, totally. I think that's the best outcome.
Yeah. You always see the things on social media that compare the amount of money paid into Social Security if it would be invested versus if it's just going out. Like
100%.
Like an astronomical difference.
It's disgusting.
And I think that's the argument, which is actually a sound argument if you're putting it in the context of just like the growth of federal dollars with the Trump accounts. It's a very good argument. Why wouldn't you invest in the top 500 companies in the fucking world with all of our Social Security? Because we would never have to worry about it. And that's what other countries have done with their social programs, have invested in better things than U.S. treasuries. And guess what? They have people that don't ever have to worry about retirement funds. You know? Yeah. We're the richest country in the world. We have the richest everything. Like, we should be able to do that.
Well, technically we're bankrupt. We were deemed to be
I know, but like it's like goes back to the point of like talking about, you know, how much freaking money is available in the lending industry for this stuff. You go to California, you know, like there's like this whole layer of like social poverty in California, but there's so much money there. You can't even compare it to almost any other country in the world. You know, obviously you got China and stuff like that, but like it's so much money. Like so much GDP out of just California.
There's an analyst that I follow that basically thinks that there is, I won't say an ulterior motive, but between Bissett and Trump and his cabinet to try to keep the stock market high, not just for perception purposes and saying I'm doing a great job, but because a lot of the gross tax receipts come from old people having lots of stocks that eventually sell them.
RMDs and stuff.
Yeah, RMDs is placed into that. But capital gains is a big part of the federal budget. And so, but if that goes down, let's say it goes down 10%, well, now you're cutting into the tax receipts that they can collect. And so they're trying to find ways to like, honestly, keep it elevated from not growing the deficit even wider perspective.
I feel like that's too smart for them.
I wouldn't say that because like Bessent's like a very smart guy. Like Trump is not doing that stuff. Bessent's probably one of the best. I would argue that he's worth having in there, but like it's definitely like, it's not going to work in my opinion. Like, I don't know. There's just too many other things going on, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but there's so many other things going on right now that are just like causing chaos. It's crazy.
Yeah. I actually have another answer to, Dan, you said to where do I put my money? Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think the answer, and this is one of the reasons I like our current business, is in private short-term debt.
Yeah.
Right? Because the things that I value with like my investments are control, right? Leverage, and like leverage where it's positive in my favor, not like leverage where I'm borrowing money to make the investment, right? And consistency. And so like with us, with like the hard money, I can get 12% return. That's the same. Sure, it's not a 100x return. I don't care because I'm focused on my business. I get 12% fixed return. I'm in a advantageous position against the asset that it's in, and I can control basically the decision around if I make that investment or not, or like what is actually happening with that situation. And if it does go sideways, I can still control that kind of the outcome.
Right.
You know, if I put all of my money into a company stock and that the CEO decides to show up on the fucking Epstein list and shit gets weird, like that is completely out of my control. Yeah. And especially now where you have all this insider trading, all this like Polymarket bullshit, right? It's even worse because the market will be locked and all of a sudden the thing drops 19% pre-market and you don't know why. Yeah. But you're fucked because you were just all peasants at the end of the day.
Right. There's too many people at play there that are controlling the outcomes.
Yeah. And it's just outrageous, all the different stuff.
The insider trader thing still blows my mind. Like, why can't one person come forth that's in the judiciary and be like, you're going to jail or fined? Like, didn't they do like Martha Stewart like a decade ago for this shit? Like,
I know.
Oh, yeah.
And that's even with the traditional stuff. Like all this Polymarket stuff now is insane.
It is insane.
Like I sent Dan a reel yesterday. And so there was like an over under on one of Kristen Levitt's, Speaker of the House's talks of it being less than 65 minutes. Right.
It was like 64 and 50 seconds.
No, so literally, dude, it's at like 64 minutes.
104 and whatever.
Yeah, it's at like 1 hour, 4 minutes and like 35 seconds or whatever. And all of a sudden she's like, okay, cool. Yep. Thanks for coming, everybody. All right. See you. Bye. And she literally just like walks off the stage. And all the people that were on the under on that, they made 50x returns.
Isn't that crazy? How much of that, like, do you think is, because some of this is clearly like people in the government that know shit doing stuff. How much of that too is like trolling? Like nobody, like Caroline's, it's not her bet or whatever, but she knows it's out there. And she's like, I'm going to troll these motherfuckers and just do this.
For sure.
Right? Like either way, it's crazy, right?
I mean, I'm sure it's both, but you would think that if you're smart, you would have like 2 to 3 or 4 or 5 degrees of separation, and then you still get paid from someone. But
I think there's part of it too, where it's like just create chaos. And even if like I guarantee she's not going to get paid anything off that. I mean, I shouldn't guarantee that. Maybe she is, but as far as creating chaos, just trolling it, knowing what's out there, what's being bet, because that's a pretty novel thing that you could probably get within a few minutes of how long the press conferences are probably scheduled, right? So like 60 minutes, but she maybe always goes over 10 minutes or something like that. So you could probably get within a reasonable bandwidth of that. But I could totally see her trolling it as opposed to like her creating that Polymarket bet. Because it is that somebody like her, it's like she's not high enough in the cabinet to like get away with that shit. She's too much in the public eye.
She is, but people around her, who knows? You
want someone like Don Trump, who's not even in the cabinet, who's not even part of it, who's making these fucking huge bets on shit his dad's going to say, and all he has to do is just be in the room, which he is, and be like, oh, I'm going to go make this.
I saw one of those too, and it was this huge bet that Trump was going to say low IQ in one of his talks. And then he did, and it was like, it didn't even really like fit in with what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But it paid out like, it was like, I don't know, 47x or something.
I mean, all it's like people like Trump. I mean, for all we know, he doesn't even know it exists. He's an 80-year-old dude, and people are like, hey, make sure you say this, dude. It'll be great. And he just goes and says shit.
Yeah, right.
The speechwriters, dude.
Absolutely.
That's right there.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. They're like, we don't make enough. Let's make our own money.
Honestly, dude. Like, that's crazy, dude.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah. Get on there.
Hey guys, I just had a deal, I think, blow up from a stupid appraiser that we talked about last week.
Oh, really? Well, that's only going to get worse. We got nothing but appraiser freaking woes right now, dude.
As is value came back at 160, and I had my independent appraisal that I did that came back at 190.
Wait, an independent that you paid for or that you did yourself?
So I paid for it because a lot of the hard money lenders use the same guy here, but this guy's lender made him get his own appraiser, and of course comes back 30 grand lower. It only needed to come in 20, like it needed to come in at 180.
That's kind of crazy.
You better get used to that because pretty much all the lenders are going to be cracking down on you finding your own appraiser very soon.
Well, what they're doing too is they're doing their due diligence on their appraisals, and they'll just be like, nah, we don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't believe the appraiser, which they have good right to not believe the appraiser because they are kind of dummies sometimes.
Yeah, we literally just had one, the appraiser came back on and they're just like, we disagree with that.
Yeah. So the lender is just like, no.
Nope. You got to figure it out. You got to do something else. Get another one.
Go get a second appraisal, second opinion. Plus they have all their fraud alerts and stuff like that they're doing.
No, dude. The other thing with this business is, okay, we've already extended because the appraiser took a sweet ass time, and the seller's pissed because we've already extended once, and so now it's like, how do you go back and say, oh, we need an additional 3 weeks? It's probably just not going to happen. Like this deal's probably not going to close.
Right. Well, I think that goes back to the off market stuff. Is like you got to change your sales pitch because it's getting to be you can't do shit like that anymore. Honestly.
Yeah. Is this a buyer for a wholesale deal?
Yeah.
Oh, man. If you'd only sent them to Sir Lancelot, then maybe you wouldn't have this issue.
Dude, I would have. He wanted to use his own lender.
Yeah, we don't require a full appraisal on hard money loans.
We just do BPOs. Bummer. You would be closing this deal right now.
Okay, well, if I can save it, what do you guys need? 10 days? 2 weeks?
We'll do it in 4 days for you.
Yeah, because we do all of our hard money is all on our balance sheet, so that's easy. And then we just trade it. As long as the guy's not a fucking criminal or we go and we pull his credit and we found out that he hasn't paid child support for 7 years.
Yeah, and he's got a strangulation charge on his background check.
Yeah, we had one of those recently. That was fun.
This sounds oddly specific.
Yeah. Or they have $5 in their bank account.
Yeah, we had one recently where the guy had on his background check, he had a burglary charge, and it was 2 years ago. And I'm like, this dude's 35. And he wanted to have a letter of explanation about why I got charged with burglary. I'm like, dude, that was 2 years ago. You can't say oh, I was 21 and I was dumb.
Yeah.
You were an adult.
Yeah.
And you got charged for burglary. That's bad.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
So.
And what were you, you stole a water, what did you steal? That's what I would want to know. Was this a
burglary? The thing is burglary, that you have to be breaking and entering as well. That's not theft.
Oh, that is worse.
Theft is I stole a pack of gum from the gas station. He entered a location and took something.
Yeah, that's much worse. That's hard to defend.
That's way worse, dude.
It's way worse. I know. And even if it's something it was my ex-wife's house and I wanted my freaking laptop back, I'm still.
Yeah.
It looks bad.
How'd that conversation go? Bro, I don't think we're going to be able to do this. We're not the right fit.
Oh, I don't know. That's what we have our LOs do. Yeah. They get to eat shit all day. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, they get to deal with that. That's their fault for bringing that lead in.
Yeah, sorry, man. You're just too much of a criminal for us to pursue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That definitely happens.
Happens a lot more than you think. It's really interesting. You start to see people from a different light when you get to do due diligence on everybody all the time.
Yeah.
That reminds me, You remember when GoBundance, they started doing background checks for new members, and then the rejection rate went up like 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because there's snakes, dude. There's some snakes trying to get in there.
That is good, right? They should do it on the current membership and see what comes up. But
no shit. That would be really funny.
I think they did do something because there was people that were existing members that got kicked out.
Was there?
I thought they did it on some people, but I think it was more on a like, you should check this guy out basis.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the deals that were going sideways. I don't know, man. It's such a weird time with stuff. It's like half people are getting desperate. You know, half the people are like, there's still a lot of like dumb money out there. Like there's so many people that are like really good at being snake oil salesmen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why you have to pay attention to what you're doing.
This blows my mind because you have to know that you're going to get caught at some point. Like if you have half a brain.
I've always thought this with like these syndicators who like raise all this money and all of a sudden they're like flying on like helicopters and shit. You know, I'm like, you can't really think you're going to get away with this forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're doing bad stuff.
Or maybe they don't know. Maybe they're just ignoring it.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I mean, they're obviously ignoring it, but like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
There's some level of, I would say, ignorance with like criminals like that where it's not that they're stupid because they're obviously.
But then how are you smart enough to raise millions of dollars?
When I say ignorance, like they're clearly sharp people, but it's like, it's almost like an egocentric thing where they're like, I'm so smart. I've figured this out. Like when you have like a Pace Morby out there who's like, look at me. I'm going to completely talk about fraud because he doesn't even know he's doing it. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like true like narcissism.
Yeah, like just like there's no way. I'm smarter than the tax code. I'm smarter than the federal government. I figured out a loophole.
He's a great example too because he had that one video where he posted about his driver's license having like a UPS store or something on it. And he posted that multiple times because it got engagement.
Totally. And until you get caught, like he probably feels confident because he probably can argue, all three of us, he could probably sit in a room and probably be a better arguer than us together, right?
Of course.
But guess what? When it's in court and they're like, we don't give a shit about your arguing ability. This isn't debate club, dude. Like this is the law and we think you broke the law.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Can we do our own Polymarket things? Like will said guru be in jail in the next like certain amount of time?
Well, we kind of did that with our predictions. And one of my predictions at the beginning of the year, if you remember that, one of my predictions was that one of the big gurus will go down.
Oh, yeah.
Did anybody go down yet?
I don't think so.
Ooh.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But I mean, it's bound to happen, right? Like,
what's your short list on that? Who's on your short list?
I know Cardone's got a
Yeah.
class action against him right now.
Cardone's a pretty good one. Ryan Pineda. I think he'll get busted with something eventually.
What about the Bass brothers, the Andy Elliott and what is it?
Oh, dude,
but those guys are going down
one.
for like domestic violence. Like they're gonna.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, no, and so is his wife after she kicks his ass because she's fucking bigger than he is.
Yeah, Andy, and what's the dude? What's the guy's name he's been hanging out with? Klein, Eric Klein.
That dude's already done time, so he's like one unhinged moment away from doing it.
No double jeopardy.
Yeah, double jeopardy.
Those are good ones. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. It's tough too because I don't really follow a lot of those people anymore. I've kind of intentionally removed myself from that because every time I would see stuff, I was like, shut up.
Yeah, it's just garbage.
And so, so I'm not really following the trends, but I'm still waiting for the headlines. I know if a big one does go down, like everyone that I know will talk about it. So I'll hear about it.
Cardone was, I guess his was, because he does the 506c fundraising, that he pretty much said the words guarantee too many times. Like you can't guarantee passive returns. And then those returns obviously didn't happen for some of the funds. And now they're going after him.
Yeah. Darn it. What I would love, just because I'm like this kind of person, is like one of like the really big dudes, like a Tony Robbins to go down. Just because like that would be like, I have no stake in that game. I'm not a Tony Robbins fan, but I don't really think he's a bad thing. But I just like, I thrive off of like the devastation.
It would hurt so many people's like hearts.
Oh yeah.
They'd be like, I paid Tony Robbins $100,000 to jump to, I don't know what they do. What do they do? Like go to conferences and get near him.
And he says, you're a lion. Roar at me like a lion.
Can I say, tried to watch like his Netflix. This was years ago, but it's called like, I Am Not Your Guru. I lasted 5 minutes. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh yeah, it is.
It was like, this is not for me. Maybe it's for some people, but it's not for me.
It's for some people, man. Like he obviously does something good for the people that are cued into it. So like, I have no like bad to say about him because he's done it long enough. Right. But it's not my thing.
And he's like the Feed America thing. He's like filled like 1 billion, like whatever. Like he's done good for the world, I think. But
I think so. Like from the limited amount I know about him, it sounds like he has had a net positive. But yeah, his messaging and the way he goes about it, it just doesn't speak to me. You know,
doesn't he have an island though? Or does he own a
Probably.
house on an
I think
island
he
or something? Like
does.
I think he owns like something in Fiji. So
I think
I'm just saying.
he owns a lot of
Just
stuff.
saying. He's got an island.
But yeah.
So does Richard Branson.
Well, yeah, but I mean, everyone knows that he's kind of a creep. I mean, come on.
Isn't it close to? Is his island close to Epstein's island?
Yeah.
I think he was on the files. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure he was on the files.
Yeah.
Was he in the files?
Of course he was.
But I mean,
yeah.
I'm pretty confident.
a little bit.
But, at the same time, those people they've done like big things. Like, you look at a lot of stuff they've done with like Virgin and different things. It's a pretty iconic
Totally.
entrepreneur. Like,
Which virgins are you talking about?
exactly. That's that. What you think the name for his company is?
Yeah.
It's not ironic.
He just came up with that. Like that's yeah.
No.
He's spoken to Virginia Slim, and he's like, I think I should name my company Virgin. Has nothing to do with a young virgin lady.
God damn.
Yeah, dude.
All right, we can have any value in this before we shut this
No
up.
value. Pay your taxes.
No value. Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes. Don't buy stupid Airbnbs for the tax benefits.
We need you to pay your taxes so we can bomb the shit out of Iran. Let's go.
Okay. Legit question on that before we go, because I've been meaning to ask you this, Dan. What is your take on all the firings of these generals?
I think it's very indicative of something. So by that, I mean, like there's a weird one. Like they fired like the head of the chaplain corps. Like that's weird. My guess is if I was Pete Hegseth, I'm firing people that aren't in alignment with my vision and mission. Now, I will say this, because there's always a caveat, because I don't know anything about anything, because I don't follow the stuff that goes, is those could have all been appointees from like the Biden administration. Because when you get to 4-star general, like you're a politician in the military. To even get to that level, you have to be a politician. Then to be at that level, like you're doing, it's 30, 40-year career, right? So by Biden appointees, I mean, Biden was also appointing transgender people in charge, like ahead of like the Navy and stuff like that. Not a good look for the military, in my opinion. You guys can have your own opinions on this. I don't think it was a good one. So these could be hangovers from that, so that they're maybe not in alignment in the values and that they shouldn't have been selected. However,
maybe they were looking for an excuse to get him out. That was their excuse.
Exactly. However, my personal initial instinct was that they were just people that weren't in alignment with his mission and vision of what he wanted. They weren't saying yes to everything, and that would create chaos. And in any organization, you need all the leaders to be in alignment. Now, his vision and mission, I don't know Pete Hegseth if he's the one being like, yeah, we got to bomb the shit out of Iran. This is what I believe. Like maybe he is, like, or he's just following orders. I don't know. Either way, he's getting him out of there for probably not the right reasons, but it could be, like I said, a political thing from previous administrations.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
So the people that he's fired have included the Army Chief of Staff, Chief of Chaplains, Army Transformation and Training Command, Chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, Chief of Naval Operations, Air Force Vice Chief of Staff, and Head of Defense Intelligence Agency, and others, it says. So over 20 top generals and admirals.
Yeah, I would hesitate to say that that's not uncommon, or I would say that that's probably not uncommon to swap these out, because these people are all at the end of their careers anyways. The Chairman, Joint Chief of Staff, did you say that's who it was?
Yeah. Okay,
so let's see, I'm just reading this article here. So you're saying Dan Kane? Because I thought I just saw him on TV.
This is all recent.
Yeah. I thought I saw him like yesterday on TV.
General C.Q. Brown.
Okay, that's a different person. And I say that because the Joint Chief of Staffs is kind of like, that's like the generals. So for him to fire that person would likely be appointed by like Trump and his, Secretary of War or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's something to take note of, but you have to compare it to other administrations to see what they're doing.
That's fair. And to your point, like stuff does get blown out of proportion. So to round this out with a good example is I saw all over Reddit yesterday that there was this whole thing about how the mandatory enlistment in the military draft was going to happen this fall, right? And it was this whole thing about how they have an automated process everyone already has to do this anyway, but basically you have to go and you have to register to basically say that you are of age. It's like between 18 and 24 to enlist. Yeah. And now they have an automated process. They're going to do that. And how Reddit and the sort of other side of the camp spun this is you're automatically going to be enlisted in the draft now.
Yeah, it's stupid.
No.
Which is stupid. Yeah, it's completely misconstrued.
And the thing is, I thought that thing was like a long time ago. Like what they changed it to when you're 18, like decades ago. Like I had to go when I turned 18. I don't know if you guys had to. I had to go to the DMV and register. with the selective service. You did?
I did too.
Yeah, so that's like the service. We all did. That it's been going around since like the 60s.
No, I know, but I'm saying I thought it's already automated after like in the late 2000s.
No.
Okay.
No. So now they're actually going to be automatic putting people into it. So, but your point being, maybe there's a misconstrued headline with a general thing, just like there is with that.
It could be. Like, I would do my research. My instinct when I read a headline like that is twofold. It's like, that doesn't seem good because of what's going on. But then I'm like, oh, these dudes want to manipulate me. How many generals were fired under Biden? And so I just Googled that. And you know what Gemini said? As early as April 2026, Defense Secretary, which is wrong, Pete Hegseth, under the Biden administration, has fired over a dozen senior generals. I'm like, all of that is wrong. Google does not even know because Biden is not here. Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of War. And then it's a dozen, not 20. So you can't trust Google.
Totally. See, and these are all of the reasons that I do not believe in fully passive investments that are part of the machine. So,
yes,
fuck
IRAs.
delete. Bring a full circle.
Don't. I didn't say the IRS part. Don't come after me.
No, IRAs.
Oh, I thought you said IRS.
IRS. Well, fuck them too, but the IRAs. Yeah, because it doesn't make any fundamental sense because there's so many things outside your control.
Totally right. Like all of it, dude. It's all controlled by the big machine. And as long as the big machine is the big machine, we're all good, right?
Yeah.
So pay your taxes so we can have a big machine, and I can make more money so that I can get out of underneath the big machine. Because that is what the goal should be, right? Is to not need to rely on the big machine. That's the goal of everybody. And I think at this point, that threshold keeps moving higher and higher and higher and higher.
Yeah. Well,
of dollar amount, net worth, and what you need.
It does. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Anyways, go get rich, people. If otherwise, the next little while is going to suck. Sorry. But
go make money.
All right, everybody. Talk to you guys later. See you guys next week.
See y'all.
See ya.
This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you want more from us, you can shoot us a follow on Instagram. I am at Mike_invest. Dan is at InvestorManDan. And Dylan is at Dylan_does_deals. Shoot us a follow and send us a DM to let us know what you think of the show.